India's silence on the face of the tariff whammy from the US has been deafening. 25% tariff plus 25% penalty will have real-world repercussions for the nation's economy. But New Delhi has been maintaining a steadfast silence. The domestic narrative, ever since talks broke down, has been all about Atmanirbharta, being self-reliant and riding it out. Max, the Prime Minister said was, no matter how much pressure comes, we will keep increasing our strength to withstand it. Is it working? We spoke to VP Singh, Professor of Economics and Director PGPM at Great Lakes Institute of Management in Gurugram. He believes it will. What he said was, India's leadership has responded as a mature negotiator, emphasizing on economics instead of politics. India is reducing GST slabs to trigger domestic demand. RBI has assured that interest rates will be lowered in case US tariffs create adverse impact. New trade routes are being explored, while Russia has agreed to open its market to India, which was earlier being supplied by Europe. Now, there is a reason to India's silence on American high-handedness, and it is very much political as it is about trade. Talks got stuck on the thorny issue of opening up of India's agriculture and dairy sector to American imports. Both are not only vital to a vast number of rural Indian livelihoods, around 48% by some estimates, they are also significant politically. PM Modi's 11-year tenure as Prime Minister has generally seen him get away with almost anything, from demonetization to lockdowns, except on two occasions. First was the rookie Prime Minister's attempt at land reforms in 2015, through which farms could have consolidated and corporatized, like in most of the West. That legislation was soundly defeated in Parliament, as his party at that time did not have majority in both houses. And the second, of course, were the farm bills, which his government tried to bulldoze through, but had to eat humble pie in the face of massive resistance from the farmers. The writing on the wall, even for giants like Modi, was clear. Playing with farmers extracts too heavy a price, often existential. So now to try tampering with the present system of Indian agriculture, even if extremely inefficient, would be tantamount to political harakiri, especially for the sake of a foreign party, even if by correlation, it is the Indian economy that will be the affected party. So no to any sort of farm reforms, and yes to keeping an arm's length from any deal that will have American wheat selling in the Indo-Gangetic Plain. This is perhaps where the loss will hurt even more, for India had invested steadfastly since the turn of the millennium in the US as a close partner. That is virtually crumbling down in direct proportion to Trumpian rants on Truth Social. Keeping quiet may be a necessity, but it is not like India is taking it lying down. Slowly and steadily, and even before the tariffs and penalties, India has been slowly trying to test the extent of the US's tolerance, be it talks of a dollar substitute at the BRICS forum with the likes of Brazil and South Africa, or the non-aligned stance over its Ukraine war, which eventually seemed to have gotten New Delhi into hot waters on the trade side. Where it all comes down to, tariff will hurt the Indian economy and way beyond the hundreds of thousands in sectors affected, like textiles, and not having an alternative to the US, or in other words, the Cold War India has been having since 2020 with its eastern superpower neighbor, it would hurt. But India is trying, and trying hard. It is a pragmatic approach, at least some of it aimed at observers in Washington, to show that India is not crying over the breakdown in relations and is moving on with America's bête noire. It is as much a pressure tactic as can be Trump's tirade against India in the past few weeks. And if that doesn't work, there is the longer and tougher road of sewing up new partnerships of the global south with China and Russia. On the plus side, India's trade with China has only ballooned despite all the friction of the past 4-5 years. And even if it leaves India at a disadvantage, with a trade deficit that's hitting $100 billion. But it at least gives a leeway to proceed further. And for now, all eyes will be on the SCO summit next week in China, where Modi will start afresh and start from scratch, an attempt to make new friends, even if it's a friend turned enemy, into a friend again. As Mr. Singh adds, higher tariffs will have adverse impact initially, but India sees it as an opportunity to emerge stronger. Something tells us Trump will definitely be watching.